To be fair, you did tell me to remind you to record the meeting, but also you told multiple people, so I defer responsibility to them.
All right, it's on all of us, but take it away from here.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, so let's look at some of the events that we could register for. So I'm going to click on View Events, and we're going to go straight to kind of a series of events that we could register for. Again, these are just test events, but I'll show the real site after this. So I could look through these events. They look pretty cool. But this frog one looks pretty sick, so I'm going to learn more about it. And yeah, maybe I want to register for this event. Look at the time. It's tomorrow from 12:20 to 1:20 p.m. And there's seats remaining. Looks pretty solid. Let's register for this. Oh wait, we haven't logged in yet, actually. So that's one thing. Public members can look at events, but they can't actually register for them. For that, you need to log in. First, let's actually sign up for an account. For Lucy's Love Bus, there's actually two types of members. There's participating families and there's general members. So participating families are for families with children with life-threatening illnesses or other diseases that qualify for basically free events and other activities held by LLB. And general members are not. And general members often have to donate to enter one of the events. So I won't bore you by actually filling out these forms, but they are here. So I've actually prepared an account beforehand. Here we are. Awesome. So as you can see, this is me. I got a picture of me in the top right there. Anyway, as you can see, the display has changed just a little bit. So we now have a account in the top right here. But most importantly, we can now go to upcoming events. Let's just scroll down. You can also see events down here. We want to go to the frog event, right? So let's learn more about the frog event. And hey, we can now actually register a ticket for this event. So let's do that. Awesome. So as you can see, some things have changed here. It says that I've actually registered one ticket for this event, which is awesome. And actually, I could even go to my events now, which will give me a list of all the events that are upcoming that I have registered for. And then when the time comes to this event, I'm going to get an email, like a Zoom link maybe, to remind me about the event. But maybe I want to go back and I want to actually go with a friend. So I'm going to bring Liam with me to go to this event. So we could actually change this, and boom, we've actually registered a second person for this event. And as you can see, the number of seats remaining for this event has changed down from 10 to 8. And yeah, some other cool things, as you can see, specific announcements for this event. So down here, there's event-specific announcements. And actually, there's also announcements that go out to everyone. So for example, if you wanted to advertise an event that's coming up real soon, you could send an announcement that'll just appear on the front page right here. Turns out there's a demo day happening on today, apparently. So should go to that. And yeah, that's sort of all the main features from the perspective of a user of the site. You can look at all these cool events. You could learn more about them, and you could register tickets for these events. And it's all seamless, all in one place. One last thing I want to touch on, going back to the general member versus participating family distinction, we want to make it possible for users to become participating families once they're already in the system as a general member. So what we could do is actually apply to be labeled a participating family, and an admin of the site will view the request and decide whether or not to admit us as a participating family. So we could go ahead and edit our account details, and that would mean something like inputting the details of your family members, medical information, etc. Once we're done with that, just for demonstration, let's submit an application. So as you can see, I made an application to be a participating family here, and it's pending. And yeah, we could just wait for an admin to approve or deny us. On that note, let's actually look at this app from one more perspective, which is that of an admin. Okay, so I also have this account set up. So yeah, once again, the site has changed slightly. Now we're an admin, not just a member. We still could see the same things as a regular member, but we have extra awesome admin features that makes actually maintaining the site really, really easy. So in addition to actually being able to see all the events like before, we can make announcements for these events, delete them if needed, and also see RSVP information. So who's actually signed up for this event. So let's check that out for the frog event. Looks like this guy, Ryan Jung, signed up. If I'm curious about who he is or his information, I could always click on his details to learn more. That's me. Looks like he's pretty happy, and he was born on January 15th. Awesome. We could also go ahead and do some more admin things like create events, edit events, create announcements. Yeah, just the general admin things. And one last thing is that admins can also, again, approve and deny requests all in the same site, right? So again, Ryan seemed to make a request to be a PF, participating family. So we could look at this request and we could look at his information and we could decide whether or not to approve or deny him. I like myself, so I'm going to approve myself. But you know, obviously the decision-making process is a lot more complicated than that. But yeah, that's more or less the features of the site. We tried to make it as easy to use as possible. And yeah, I'm really happy and proud of all our work. Two small things before I end are that we have two really cool features that are in the works. One of which is this calendar view. So you see all these events here, which are happening on the 28th, all of them actually. You could actually look at these on a calendar and see them and click on them to go to the events. We're looking into adding calendar integration so that when you register for an event, you get that automatically added to your calendar, or you can see all upcoming events on a calendar. That'd also be really cool. The second thing we're working on that we're super excited about is actually making payment integration into the system really, really easy so that general members can pretty simply pay or donate to enter any event. You know, usually online payments are kind of a pain to set up, but we're hoping to make it really streamlined and easy. And yeah, that's sort of the site. Hope you all enjoyed that. You know, the team put a lot of work into getting everything together. Once again, it was an honor to work with Lucy's Love Bus on this project, and we're super happy with the work so far, and we think that's going to make a big impact. So yeah, thanks.
Awesome. Thank you, Ryan. You mind stopping your screen share? There you go. Awesome. Yeah, the Lucy's Love Bus project is a really cool one. Like Ryan said, it's an ongoing process and we still have more things we want to do with it because we just think there's still more value to be added, but I'm really happy with how it turned out and it's really great. Oh, and it looks like, Carrie, did you want to say a few words? I know you kind of got in late.
That's up to you guys. I know I received the link late, but if you guys have time, I can speak upon for Love Bus.
Sure. If you
All
want
right.
to give us a quick couple minutes.
Yeah, I will. Hi, I'm Carrie. I am the program assistant for Lucy's Love Bus. I am the main administrator for this application. And I just want to say thank you to all of the C4C team that has been helping build this. Prior to this platform, we were using 4 separate different entities to track and manage our programs and for attendance. So in the last year, C4C has made our dreams come true and combined everything into one streamlined platform. We are beyond thrilled to know that we could continue this relationship with them, and the project this year built on the platform they created. Some things include making a public facing calendar so people could see upcoming events, which is Ryan just went over for us, creating one profile for a family and adding their family members into that, children and spouses, with identifying information, and automatic email reminders for the programs that they've signed up for. It's just amazing. And for those of us who don't know who Lucy's Love Bus is, we are a childhood cancer nonprofit. So we work with kids with cancer, and through the programs that we offer on these platforms, we've been able to extend our outreach to kids with life-threatening illness as well, to provide free integrative therapies such as massage, meditation, acupuncture, music therapy, dance, gymnastics. We've got a lot going on. So thank you. I really can't say it enough. It's been so awesome with the newest updates to really implement this. We had a program over the weekend that we had people registered for. It just really makes my job so much easier for the tracking of all of the people that attend our things. So again, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the kind words. And with that, I think we're going to move on to our second project, which is Speak for the Trees. Divya, I don't know if you want to say a few words before, or Elizabeth, I know you're also on the call, just kind of about like what Speak for the Trees does and kind of how this application fits into all the great work that you guys are doing.
I'm going to defer to Elizabeth here because she's been
right.
working with you guys, and then happy to talk later, but I talk too much.
All right, thank you, David. So Speak for the Trees is an urban greening nonprofit in Boston that focuses on expanding the size and health of our urban canopy by promoting tree equity, which is equal and equitable distribution of the benefits that trees provide to people across the city. So one of the programs that we do is a tree inventory, which is what the C4C platform started out as at the beginning of the year. But we kind of had to pivot. We were thrown a bit of a curveball by the city that they started an urban forestry plan, which is really great and long overdue, but they are completing a full inventory professionally of the street trees in the city. So we haven't given up on that yet, and the platform still has that functionality, but we kind of had to pivot to focusing on an adopt a tree model for street trees that are planted in the last 3 years. That's when the trees are the most vulnerable, and they need to be watered regularly in the summer to promote their health and survivability. So we're creating a platform that allows members of the public to sign up, basically adopt a tree, and pledge to water it regularly so that we can help the trees that are planted by the city survive.
Awesome, thank you for that. Yeah, it's been definitely interesting with this project, with kind of the Boston City throwing us for a bit of a loop, but I think the team has been doing a really great job trying to pivot with that and try to use what we have to kind of integrate more features and still make this application provide value to Speak for the Trees.
So thank you so much to the C4C team. It's been a huge thing for us, and everybody's been really flexible and awesome. So thank you.
And I wanted to say, not only were we thrown one curveball, which is actually a good curveball, but we were thrown a second curveball later on, that the platform we were using to inventory was no longer going to be supported. So originally this started as a block tracking app, because what we were finding is as we were inventorying trees, we didn't know where which blocks our volunteers had actually visited or not. So we were like you had just mentioned on the last, sorry, I've forgotten your name, but we had like 4 different databases, right? We had like this one map, and then users will log their information somewhere else, and then we'd have to go. So we were thinking, how can we simplify it? So that's what we started with, and it's just grown in leaps and bounds, and it's just been amazing to watch. And I honestly like this. We model our work on what New York City does, and I think you guys have shown that you are amazing professionals who can like hang with the best of them, even the New York City parks folks who are doing this. Like what you've done is just so impressive. It's professional quality.
Awesome. Thanks again for such kind words, guys. And with that, I think Sophie is going to lead us on a quick demo of our site. Sophie, take it away.
Yeah, definitely. And thank you so much to Speak for the Trees for giving us this opportunity. I've definitely learned so much in doing all of this, and our team really appreciates the work that you do and you allowing us to help you with it. So I'll just jump into our site here. What we have right here on our homepage We're going to walk through the process as someone who wants to adopt a tree. So as our partners mentioned, they've opened up a new Adopt the Tree platform. It's a program to make sure that newly planted trees are taken care of. And so we need a lot of volunteers to be able to be willing to look after these trees. And what Speak for the Trees and some other partners in the Boston community need is to be able to see what trees have been adopted and how often they're being taken care of. And that way we can make sure that these trees have the best chance at growing. So as a user on the platform, let's say I was walking down the neighborhood and I saw on this young tree outside my house that it was freshly planted and it needs someone to adopt it and take care of it. And I want to do that. So I'm directed to this website here and I see a map of Boston. I see all of our neighborhoods here. And if I zoom in, I can see all of the trees that were planted in a neighborhood. And so this might look a little bit overwhelming at first because Boston has a lot of trees, but we want to make it really simple for you to be able to identify trees where you live and to be able to adopt them. So let's say I live at 11 Spear Place in Boston. So I type that in, I'm directed to my street on this map, and I can see all of the trees that are planted near me. And so let's say I actually live right here. And so this tree is green, which means it hasn't been adopted yet, as opposed to this tree, which someone is already taking care of. So I see this tree, it's biloba, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. And I say, yes, I want to see more info about this tree. And so I'm redirected to this page where I can see a lot of useful information, like when it was last updated. I can see its genus, its species, its condition. And all of this information is publicly available so that people who are interested in this data, who might be able to use it to help improve the condition of Boston's urban forest, can be able to access this and use that information. So as a user, I want to adopt this tree, so I need to log in. Pretty simple, but I don't have an account, so I can just sign up. We can say, this is definitely my name. And it'll be like a pretty standard and easy platform. So I just enter my email, I can make a password and just confirm it. And I can sign up and I'm redirected right back to this tree page that I want to adopt. And so I say I want to adopt it. And now this means that nobody else can adopt my tree because I'm taking care of it. And so now this is what is really important to us. We want to make sure that I'm actually taking care of my tree and I'm not just neglecting it. So what I do is every time I take care of the tree, I can record this information and then later Speak for the Trees and their partners can see how I've been taking care of the tree. If they need me to water it more, they can let me know through email. So I'll just say that last Sunday, I watered and I mulched this tree. I submit that. And now that tree activity is public. So even as a member of the general public, just looking at this tree, I can see, wow, someone's been doing a really good job at taking care of this tree. And I would be like, thank you, I am. And so that is one of the main parts of our platform here is this new feature of adopting a tree. And this was, as was mentioned, a bit of a curveball. But I think it's a really great feature to have. And I think that hopefully all of you, if anyone lives in the Boston area and you're looking to adopt a tree, you can be able to do that through this platform here. And then sadly, let's say if I move or I just can't take care of the tree anymore, I can always unadopt it, but we're not going to do that. So, and as a user, I can go back to the main page and adopt as many trees as I want. I can adopt trees that are, in East Boston, say, there's a bunch here, and I can just adopt as many trees as I want. And all that would stop me from doing that is if I stop logging my tree care activities and Speak for the Trees sees that I'm no longer taking care of some of these trees, then we can go ahead and open that tree up for adoption later so that someone who's has more time and capacity to take care of those trees can do that. The other main feature of our site is the one that's a bit less pressing for now, but is still very important because as you saw on that tree page, there's a lot of information about trees and those are all really important and really helpful in keeping our trees healthy. And so someone needs to go to these trees and visit all of them and make sure that they're being taken care of, that they're still there, record all that data. And so what Speak for the Trees has, and we'll move into a bit later after Boston finishes their formal record, is they go down each block and they look at the trees there and they collect that information. And so previously this can get a little bit messy because there's a lot of blocks in Boston and there are a lot of trees, and it's hard to coordinate with a bunch of helpful volunteers on who's visiting what blocks and what trees need to be registered. And so what we've created for them here is a platform that both streamlines that in terms of it makes it really easy to see what trees have been logged, what blocks are going to be reserved or going to be recorded. And we also hope to increase engagement. So as you see here, we have a couple different sites. So the first thing that we have is teams. So as a volunteer, I can join a team and that'll help me with my engagement because I'm not going out to walk and register these trees by myself. I'm going out with a team. And so let's say I'm a new member again and I want to join a team. I can see a list of all available teams here. Let's say I want to join Code4Community, and I can look at all their amazing members and look at what their goals are in terms of counting blocks. So I can see like, oh, they have this goal to count 50 blocks by 2022. I think that's really cool. I want to join this team. And that will send a request. And then later the admin of this team, who is indicated here, it's Forrest Dauber, can accept my request. Forrest, if you could get on that. And then later, when we go out as a team, whatever blocks I count will be counted towards this team. And it makes it kind of fun too, because then I can go and see this team leaderboard and I can see who's been recording the most blocks. And I can also go and see which individual volunteer has been recording the most blocks weekly, monthly, yearly, and ever. Currently, it's a John Doe. So I want to get out there and beat him. So I'm going to go and start reserving a bunch of blocks because I want to be number one on that leaderboard. And so what this map does here is on the side, you can see we have all blocks and then the blocks that I've reserved. It can be complicated scrolling through a huge list. So once again, we have our map here. Let's say I'm in Roxbury and I can see all of the blocks that need to be recorded. And from this point of view, you can really see like how much of a challenge it's going to be to coordinate who's reserving what blocks. But we have a color system to help out here. So if it's red, that means that I can't reserve that block to record all the trees on it because someone else has done that. And if it's yellow, it means that it's a block that I currently have reserved, but I can release it and say, let someone else take care of that. Or I want to beat John Doe, so I'm going to click on a green block here. I want to reserve this block because I'm going to go out and mark all the trees on it. And so I'll click reserve, and that will update everything to Speak for the Trees so they can see who's recording what blocks. They can see like what blocks need to be recorded, etc. And so all of this in our platform, what we're really hoping to do is make it really easy for volunteers to go out and record the work that they've been doing, make it really easy for Speak for the Trees to see what work their volunteers are doing, and drive engagement through these fun features like the leaderboard and by making everything really simple. So that's our site. I've had a super fun time making it. I've definitely learned a lot about Google Maps and about how latitude, longitude works, a couple of fun bugs and challenges along the way. And I really hope that all of you maybe are inspired to go out and adopt a tree. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sophie. Speak for the Trees worked really hard on that. And I think with all the curveballs that we have been given with that challenge, I'm really happy with how the application came out. And with that, we're going to move on to our third and our newest partner that we've been working with, which is Hands Across the Sea. Amanda, do you want to say a couple words about what you guys are doing over there and kind of how our application is planning to help you guys out?
Hi, everyone. Nice to see you. I'm the executive director of Hands Across the Sea. We're a grassroots NGO. We're the most effective NGO in the Eastern Caribbean. And we're in 6 countries. And at this point, we reach about 40,000 unique kids each year. And we've served over 140,000 kids with literacy programming. If we weren't doing it, it wouldn't be happening. So our role is vital. When we began 14 years ago, it was find places that don't have libraries and make it happen. That is a very, very condensed way of saying something that's an extremely complicated process. And then there's the sustainability of it. We've gotten to the point now where we're really focused on sustainability and programmatic scaling and the program model. And we're also intertwined with the regional development partners. One of the things that most people don't know until they get into education nonprofit space is that getting into school systems is extremely difficult and political. We are actually the designated NGO for the entire Eastern Caribbean, and we serve on the regional education group. And I have the ear of the Global Partners for Education and World Bank and UNICEF and UNESCO. And I basically carry the voice of thousands of children and teachers and principals and families to make sure that all these people at the top of the mountain aren't forgetting what's really going on. The flavor of the month this time is I'm basically telling them that print literacy increases comprehension, and that it's not all about curriculum, it's also about imagination, joy, wellness, whole person. So part of the legitimacy of what we do is how we're able to show the impact over time without watering it down and making it just data points. And we have found that showing, I guess you could say, and I say this not behavioral change. Behavioral change in the use of the library is a meaningful metric. That's one aspect of what we're doing. And I've been focused on trying to turn that information into data. And my C4C team doesn't know this, but I've basically over the last few months been politicking, and about a week or two ago was successful finally in locking in that data really is going to start to influence an aspect of how principals in the entire region are going to be evaluated. So basically, if I spit out data that helps the region know stuff that's going on in their schools, they'll use that data as something that matters. So principals will now care about libraries institutionally. So what C4C has been doing is taking these monitoring forms that we have and turning them from information spreadsheets into a CRM. Or a CMS, sorry. And I will let them show you how it works, but this will be something that is used primarily in primary schools and in some secondary schools, but we also do preschools.
Awesome, thank you, Amanda. Doing really important work over there, so we're really happy that we were able to work with you guys to try and help your mission.
Thank you. I love your team.
Thank you, thank you. And I'll pass it off to the project manager, or one of the project managers of that team, Jack Tina, to kind of get into the demo. So Jack, it's all you.
Awesome. Hopefully you guys can see that now. So yeah, before I get into starting the demo, I'm just gonna give a little more context on like the architecture of our project that we're working on for HATS. So within the application we're building for them, there are two main interfaces, both for internal HATS use only. So one of these faces like the volunteers and literacy links that actually work to collect the data for Amanda and the admins. And the other side of the application is for Amanda to actually manage all of the schools, all of her like volunteers and all of that underneath. So yeah. It's very much still a work in progress, but hopefully our demo gives a good little introduction to what we're working to accomplish for HATS. So for our demo, we're going to log in on the admin side of the app first and to go through like our school directory management page to create it for us to report data or report on as a volunteer. So I will log into that now. And here we are. So this brings us to our homepage where we can see all of the features that are or eventually will be available to admin level accounts. But again, for today, we're just going to go into the school directory here and take a look at that. I'm getting your internet connection is unstable. So if I start cutting out, whoops. But anyways, this is the page where Amanda can come in and kind of see and manage all of the schools that are currently active in the platform. Within this page, she's able to view them, hide them from being able to get reported on, as well as edit the details underneath all of them, and create new schools as well. So yeah, we'll go in and school for us to report on now. We'll just call it test school. Put it at 1234 Street Road. It can be in Boston. I think that's going to throw an error, but just in case. And so all of those schools and the user accounts within the platform are all connected to a country. Reason being, volunteers should only be able to view data and report on schools within their own country. So for our purposes, we're going to go with the United States here, which is actually the only one of these countries that HATS doesn't monitor schools in, but we've been using it to test, so we're going to run with that. Our library status, we have a library that exists currently. And this hidden field is how Amanda can turn on and off like the ability to report on this school without actually deleting it and wiping like our record of all of the data we've collected. So we'll set that to false and then continue. So if we come down the bottom here and go down to the last page, we just have this test school that I just created. There's now 2 of them. So I'm gonna get rid of these 2. And we can come back here and sign out and go back in through the other side of the application, which will bring us to the volunteer login or
Paid staff,
homepage.
not volunteer, paid staff.
Paid staff, literacy link, if that's the.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that nobody thinks that we're exploiting people on the front lines to do our work, our dirty work. Paid staff.
Thanks for the correction. So yeah, going in, you can see that this looks a little more limited from the paid staff side of the application. So yeah, they can come in here, and if we're going to fill out a form for this new school we've created, we'll come in here and select the test school and go on to continue. So here, once you select your school, you're presented with the current information for that school, everything I just entered here. And you can either click confirm to go on to the contact info, or you can edit if you want. So maybe if it's actually in New York, you can come back in and change that here before moving on. So we can confirm that, which brings us to the contact page here. And seeing how we just created the school, we don't have any contacts registered for it yet. So I'll go ahead and add myself as a contact before we go on. And I'm going to set myself as the principal for this role. So yeah, you can go in, you can add more contacts, infinite contacts if you wanted, and then move on here to the beginning of the real form, which starts with this question asking if there's a library, to which it will direct you to one of 2 forms for schools with or without libraries. So we can get to this library monitoring form now, and I'll say that the purpose of today's visit is just checking in. In the student book information, also similarly to the contacts, is blank, seeing how we have not filled out this form before. But once we fill it out, I can throw some test values in now. The next time that we come to report on this test school, it will show us the current data, all of this, and then you could come in and say, maybe we got another 25 kids, and edit it as you see fit before you kind of move on to the bulk of the form. So yeah, here, this is collecting mainly information on like the library space itself and the people that are involved in like maintaining it. So we'll say that the library is a standalone, only a library. They have great seating for places for them to read. There's someone full-time in charge, and you can select from a variety of titles in the Caribbean. And then continue on down here. We'll say it doesn't have an apprenticeship program, to the monitoring section here, where this is kind of focused on how the usage of the library is monitored. So does the library keep classroom check-in tables? We're gonna go with no for that for now, but maybe they have a good system for book checkouts. So we can continue on down to the training and mentorship here, which kind of focuses on student librarians and if the teachers are looking for support and reaching out. So this is where the form starts to get interesting, as it's pretty conditional from here on out. So yes, if there are student librarians, you're asked for a number. No, why aren't there? So we'll go with yes for now. maybe 2 teachers haven't had sufficient training with the manual and resource guides, we can drop a no there. And then there are a couple more conditionals here. So if you select a yes to teacher seeking support, they want to know what support they're actually looking for. If the students are involving the parents in the library, they want to know examples of that as well. So from a technological point of view, this was probably one of the more complex things that our developers had to tackle this year. There are many questions in this that will either redirect you one way or another, depending on how you answer, or some like these that will kind of follow up with an additional prompt if you answer one of the ways or another. So yeah, from a user's point of view, just having that populate right below as opposed to like having to redirect for that has been awesome. So I'm going to move these to no, just so I don't have to type anymore. And then this final section of the form here is pretty open-ended, and it's for the volunteers to leave like more detailed personal feedback and documentation on the progress and updates for a school's library. So the action plan specifically is kind of to leave notes for the future in terms of like deliverables or suggestions that they left with the library. So one, just as an example, would be train 1 more teacher in the library by next month. And so when this volunteer comes next month to report again on the school, they can visit this previously submitted form and say, all right, what did I tell them to pay attention to? Maybe it was training this 1 more teacher. So they can show up knowing what they have to look for. And then the success stories is kind of to just take down any recent wins, large successes surrounding like the library and the literacy programs. So I think a good example of one of these would be had a great parent-child reading night in the library last week. So yeah, that's an example of kind of how the paid staff will go through reporting on a school and kind of what the form will look like for a school that has a library and some of the data they're looking to collect. So we can click submit here and it'll say, thank you for submitting your form. It's been recorded and you can get sent right back home. So yeah, thanks for everyone for showing up to this. It's been really great first year working with Hands Across the Sea and Amanda specifically, as well as our team of developers and designers. So we really look forward to continuing to work and seeing this project through.
This application that we're making might be the only application that exists in the entire school system in an entire region of the world that's giving them data about what's going on in their school.
It is pretty crazy, and it's again really glad we were able to work with Hands Across the Sea because we are doing important work with it, and it's been a very data intensive project, as you might imagine. So I'm really happy with how our team has been able to kind of navigate that and get us a working application that can start collecting this data. And with that, we've seen all our projects. I just want to say a few quick words and then kind of turn an eye towards the future. And last thing I wanted to say is just kind of like an additional thank you to all of our partners, all of the C4C members in the Northeastern community coming out here. Like I said, this last year I have been president. I graduated this May and I will be moving on, and I'm leaving Code4Community in some really great hands. So I just kind of wanted to give Flora Stauber, who will be our next president, and Ryan Jung, who will be our next director of engineering, just a moment to kind of talk about like what we have in store for next year for any Northeastern students that are thinking about applying or anyone else. So with that, I'm just going to kind of, give you guys the floor.
Thank you. Yeah, I've not seen every project like throughout the year. I've seen updates here and there. And first of all, it's so cool to see everything work, have real demos, like you can go to it and it works. And having seen like Speak for the Trees throughout the year and like having it not work for many months and now having this is sort of amazing, and all the other ones too. So first of all, big thank you to everyone that worked on it. But yeah, so for the next year, we're currently in talks with several partners, one very concretely. We're hoping to finish that soon and be like set on the projects, but it's going to be a major nonprofit based in the Boston area, just like most of the other nonprofits we work with. And they're in another area, so that's cool. It's really cool that we're doing something in environment, literacy rates, and then also helping kids with cancer, and sort of like the broad aspect of it, like where everyone can sort of support a cause they really believe in, or they're really passionate about it. I think that's nice. And so this one's also going to be another area. And it's also going to use different technologies, like you see Speak for the Trees uses Google Maps. We've sort of rebuilt Google Forms for Hands Across the Sea. We're going to use Stripe integration for LLB. So there are all these different technologies. And so next year we'll also be using new technologies. So it's going to be super exciting in that way too. I'm really excited to get that started, together with Ryan, who will be in charge of all the technical stuff. So if I don't understand it, he definitely has to. And I trust he will be able to manage it, and just like everyone else will. But yeah, that should hopefully be announced very soon. I've emailed them today again, and they will let us know very soon, probably before the end of May, which is in a few days. And then lastly, I know this is just about like looking forward, but since Liam's presenting and I'm not sure if anyone else will talk, I want to say a big thank you to Liam, Jack, and everyone else who's leaving. Liam was a great president. He led all these projects for 2 years, sort of taking over right at a moment no one expected it. And Jack put in an insane amount of work every day, every week. We'll miss both of them a lot. So thank you to Liam and Jack and everyone else who's going to be leaving us. Back to you, Liam.
Awesome. Thank you, Forrest. And with that, I'm just going to leave you guys with this. If you are a Northeastern student and you're interested in applying, feel free to use this QR code, or if you want to join our mailing list, we have all of our social media stuff. So if you have any questions about anything you saw or anything you want to talk to us about, feel free to send us an email. And with that, one final thank you, and I hope everyone enjoys the long weekend and the rest of the summer. So thank you guys all for coming.